Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar. We are EBS, your experience technology partner. We specialize in the deployment of Sage Business Management and Microsoft solutions, managed services, cybersecurity solutions, and secure on-premises and cloud-based infrastructure. The business is over 45 years old. My name is Darren Tolley and I am one of the account managers here at EBS. Today, we are joined by Cim Services, who we've partnered with for many years. Cim are a Sage Technical Partner Plus and are the authors of advanced manufacturing solutions for Sage 200 and Sage 50 accounts. I would like to extend a warm welcome to Martin Connor, who will provide an overview of Cim50 for Sage 50 accounts. And you can see a previous recording of the Sage 200 derivative on our YouTube channel. We are recording today's presentation and will make this available to you in the next few days. There are lots of recordings on our YouTube channel. Remember to hit subscribe to receive notifications when we load new videos. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat, or there will be an opportunity at the end of the presentation in the Q&A session. So without further ado, that's enough from me. I'll pass you over to Martin. Morning, Martin.
Morning, Darren. Thank you very much, and thanks for inviting us along today. I hope everybody finds today's webinar useful. Okay, so thank you and welcome everybody. So what I can do is just going to run through a very quick PowerPoint presentation just to sort of set the scene and maybe answer a few questions to start with before we drop into a quick overview of the software. If you want to see the software in more detail, please reach out to Darren and the team at EBS and I'm sure they'd be happy to accommodate that. So a bit of an agenda, so take you through a little bit of an overview, a little bit of an introduction to our latest version. We do have a new release which came out last week, which falls into line with the latest version of Sage 50 accounts, version 32. As I say, we'll drop into a quick demo. So what is Cim50 then? It's primarily there to improve on what Sage 50 accounts provides, to streamline processes, to ensure greater accuracy, and hopefully maximize profitability for your business, okay? Because you're building in those efficiencies with a fully integrated manufacturing solution. So Cim50 is the only Sage accredited manufacturing solution for Sage 50 accounts. It is fully integrated. And is the recommended replacement for the now defunct Sage 50 Manufacturing, which was end of life in 2021. Okay, we now have over 150 additional features compared to Sage 50 Manufacturing and 2 further modules. So we've been able to extend the great functionality that Sage 50 Manufacturing provided by Sage themselves, but that solution is no longer supported, and you do need to consider migrating to Sage 50, your Sage 50 Manufacturing to Cim50, and we do have migration tools, so you retain all of your data. Okay. Cim50 is a modular solution, so it allows you to scale. Okay, there's 7 in the portfolio, if you like, and it's been around since 2017 and is trusted now by over 500 sites across the UK and Ireland, which equates to around 2,500 users using Cim50 on a daily basis. So well established and well trusted. So more about the modules then. There's the 7 there, all fully integrated with Sage 50 Accounts Professional. No batch updates or anything like that. It is live. The stock control just takes the products within Sage that much further. Okay, providing things like traceability, batch and serial number traceability, multiple suppliers. You can access all of the fields which are available in Sage 50 accounts within Cim50, so there shouldn't be a need to access Sage 50. If you do anything with stock control, you can carry out transactions within there. Okay, and we also hold all of the additional fields that the rest of the Cim50 modules require. Okay, we then have bills of materials, which is multi-level, multi-component, so no limits to the number of components and levels that you can have on the bills of materials in Cim50, as is the restriction in Sage 50. Okay. We also have, as well as components, we have operations with labour, machines, subcontract costings. So you can fully realise the cost of the items that you manufacture. As well as costing, we've also got audit functionality, and that is true of stock control and works orders as well. So any changes made to stock records, bill of materials, or works orders is recorded in audit logs at record and field level. With our works order module, it allows you to manage production, gives you the ability to allocate stock, issue stock to work in progress, book actual labour times, gives you a bit of rough cut capacity planning if it was needed, produce shop floor paperwork, and process your subcontract orders for subcontractors. We've also got the planning, or also referred to as MRP, Materials Requirement Planning, which provides you ultimately with a shopping list of what you need to manufacture and when, and what you need to purchase and when, based on demands such as sales orders, reorder levels, make to stock, sales forecasts, works orders, is all calculated within the plan module to come up with that shopping list, or a list of recommendations, and that is fully actionable to allow you to create purchase orders back into Sage and works orders into Cim50. If you're a type of business which does one-off manufacturing, we have our quotations module, okay, that allows you to build an item from the ground up. Doesn't have to have a stock code. It can be a non-stock item, text item, just with text. You can turn them into stock items at a later stage, or you can base it on an existing bill of material or works order. Okay, build out that quotation. Okay, have quantity breaks, turn that quotation to a sales order or pro forma, a works order, a bill of materials, stock items, you name it, it can be done from that quotations module. So giving you a huge amount of flexibility. We then have our shop floor data capture module, which I like to refer to as barcode anything. So goods receipts, dispatches, issues to works orders, stock takes, booking of actual labour times can all be done with the power of a barcode. And then we have our graphical scheduler, which is our newest module. It's been out around 18 months or so now, which is a graphical representation of the production that's running through your shop floor to allow you to visualize where those bottlenecks, conflicts and overloads may be happening in the future, and allow you, the user, to overcome those conflicts and overloads to optimize your production to ultimately fulfill your customer demands. Okay. So what I will be doing shortly is just giving you a taster of each of those modules in the short period of gone. But as I say, if you want to know more about any of these modules, reach out to Darren and the team at EBS. So a little bit about our latest version 2025. We always like to keep up to date. Generally, we have a sort of a full release once a year. That generally coincides with a release of Sage 50 accounts, so we keep up to date with that. Okay, so our 2025 release is built with 40 new features and various updates and any bug fixes since our service pack. We generally have 1 or 2 service packs a year to keep things in check. Okay, as I say, it's fully compatible with the latest version of Sage 50 accounts, version 32. We've expanded the delivery notes within Cim50. We then have the trial kitting, allowing you to trial kit sales orders and stock adjustments, so we can do multiple stock adjustments across various items. We don't have to do them singly anymore. We've added analysis codes to delivery notes. We've extended the audit log to traceable items. We've expanded the scrap percentages on bills and materials. We now allow the reverse issue of components if you're part completing a works order. Our scheduler allows you to add ad hoc bookings such as maintenance, holidays, etc. And our backups routine allows you to change the path to maybe a a different path, maybe on a different server, to give you that more higher level of resilience. Okay, so that's just a flavour. There are release notes of all of the features available which comes with the software. So moving on to a demo then, what I'm going to do is just move across to the software. Okay, so we're in Cim50. It runs in its own window with its own set of access rights. You do need to have Sage 50 installed, but Sage 50 doesn't need to be running to operate Cim50. You'll see that it's got a Sage 50 look and feel with the modules down the left-hand side here. We've got some data information, some news. We carry out data checks to keep everything in check. And if the system finds any problems, then it will highlight those to you. If I move to stock control, we can see that we've got the features running across the top, a bit a Sage 50 look and feel. Okay, we've got our list of items. As you can see, that we've got a mixture of Sage fields and Cim50 fields here. So Sage Cim50 has traceability, so is the item traceable or not? Okay, costings, that's coming from Sage. So we've got a mixture of fields there. I can build my workspace, I can filter, I can quick filter if I want to, and this goes right across the Cim50 solution. If I pick an item here, we can see that we've got quantities in stock, allocated, free stock quantities, on order quantities, and if I go to what we call the profile, it will allow me to break those figures down, and I can see that I've got a purchase order, okay, which is due tomorrow. And if I click on view order, it will pop up the Sage system to open up that purchase order for me. I've got Sage open, I've got access rights to that area of the software, therefore I can view that purchase order. The same would be true of sales orders and works orders. Okay. If I look at the profile, it gives me a running balance, so I can sort of see what's happening into the future. If I look at the statistics, this is an example of one of our dashboards. So on time and full percentages, late receipts, average days late, short receipts, that sort of thing. We also have a costing variance by supplier. So one remains quite static, one's quite erratic in their costings. And again, just to show you the level of integration that we've got, any transactions that take place within Cim50 are written to the stock history within Sage, and we can view that history from the Cim50 solution. Okay, we'll read that. So we've got this item, we've got the order. So what we're going to do is if we receive some goods and I pop in the timber oak that we were expecting, okay, I can receive by product code, by order number, because we may not know the purchase order number. And if I enter receipt quantity, okay, I get an alert because I've set it up to prompt me. I can, it's recognized that this item is traceable, so I can record supplier batch numbers. This could be auto generated or manually generated. I could book it into multiple locations. I can split the batch if I want to. I can add additional information like sell by dates, user by dates. I can attach a file. Okay, so everything that we would need to do and record against a batch traceable item can be done. So I've got a picture of the timber as it's coming in the door, maybe. Okay, that could be a certificate of conformity, a specification, anything that you require to store against that delivery. So if I receive those goods, I can also see what works order. So I can see that there's a job on the shop floor that needs this. So I'm in goods in, I could route those materials out onto the shop floor. I can receive those goods. I can book it into quarantine if I want to, into an inspection area. It's completely optional, or I can have a default. I can print goods received notes, so documentation, all completely amendable to suit your business needs. I can print labels. Okay, so this is all completely optional, and you'll start to see that we've got a barcode appearing on there that will get used by our shop floor data capture module. If we wanted to use this item at a later stage, issue it to a works order, if I was using a shop floor data capture, I could scan that barcode. Okay, and it's also recognized again that this works order needs this item and it's asking me, do you want to allocate? I'm going to say no for this stage. So quite a bit going on there. If I go into the stock item, we can see how some of that come about, but we can see there's the fields, a mixture of Sage fields and Cim50 fields. Does it go into quarantine or not? Do I print labels or not? I can see all of the financial information from Sage or not, as the case may be, because we can set access rights. Traceability, it is a traceable item. That's selective by item. So you can see here in the background, I've got an item which is non-traceable. We can deal with batch and serial numbers. We've got multiple suppliers with their own part numbers, lead times, minimum order quantities, cost prices, and you can start to see our kg CO2 equivalent coming through. More about that later, but we've got a carbon footprint calculator built into our software. Units of measure. So what I can do is I can stock and buy in one unit of measure, and I could use it in others. In this case, I buy in lengths of material, but I use in meters. Okay, so I could tell the operator on the shop floor that we need to use maybe 1 meter or 2 meters. That's what it will detail, and it will take so much out of stock. MRPs, where we can view the reorder quantities, reorder levels, and any of the other fields that we require, so we can set batching rules. How do we want to batch demands together? Do we want to group them together by X number of days with aggregation? Okay, I don't want to be placing an order on a Monday and a Friday. I'll scoop them up and bring them together. Do you want to give the system the ability to reschedule? Do I want MRP or the planning module to ignore this altogether because it's stationary or something like that that we want to keep outside of the planning? Alerts, that's how that popped up when we saw that on the person, and we can decide where they pop up. Attached files which relate to the stock item, that's different to what we saw on traceability. We've got additional details with lots of fields for various different documents, certificate of conformities, dispatch notes, and the likes. If that's not enough for you, we've got analysis codes, and those analysis codes spread right across the system. In each area of Cim50, and each module will have their own analysis codes / custom fields, if you like. Audit log. So if I go and make a change to this bill of material, so maybe I'll enter some data against the barcode field, save that record, and when I go back into it under the view, maybe I look at the audit log, you can see that that change has taken place. Okay. Stock history we saw before, and batches. So there's my batch that I booked into stock. We can see where it's come from. Okay, I can look at any others and see that there's been movements against that batch. You can see where it's come from. So we're not just looking at the stock history, which would be generally in Sage 50 would be on a first in, first out basis. If we introduce traceability, we can get the system to prompt us to ask which batch or delivery was used for a particular issue. Okay, to a works order or a dispatch against a sales order. Okay. Traceability is where we can search because we might know maybe the supplier's batch number. So I can go off and find the batch. I might not know the stock code or any other information. I can search by any of these fields. We can do stock adjustments within here. So as I said, we can do multiple items. I can pull in multiple items into a screen here if I wanted to. I can dispatch from Cim50, I can create credit notes from Cim50, and I can book items into quarantine and inspect them and move them out into free stock as well, and scrap or reject items from here. We've also got the ability to stock take. We all love a stock take, but hopefully this makes things a little bit easier. So we can either do it for all items or specific locations. I can, if I want to print count sheets, So you can, again, these can be laid out how you want. I've chosen not to include the expected quantity because we want to force people to count. I can also take that out to Excel. So bit of easy use. Everybody's quite used to using Excel. I can feed those figures into an Excel spreadsheet and then import that into Cim50. So this is in the exact format it needs to be to go back into Cim50 to save that double entering of data. Okay. If I'm happy to update the count, I can come in here. I could either import that or I can enter it manually. I can put a variance. I can say that the reason. I can save the progress or I can update the count while I because I could go off and count some more, come back, it will save what I put in there. While we've got items in the stock take, the system will warn us that there's and won't allow us to continue to carry out a transaction in other parts of the system. So I couldn't do a stock adjustment or issue to a works order. I'm going to go for that. I'm going to do this by exception. So I'm ignoring the uncounted items and that will be instantly updated and assigned to history for me. So I can look back on that. So huge emphasis on recording and auditing what has actually happened within the system. So if I clear my filter and I search by free stock, we can see that 13.99 and it's been recorded in the stock history. Reports, I'm not going to dwell on those too much, but there's traceability reports, performance reports, all of that good stuff. Sage takes care of the stock valuations and the like. Okay. Moving on to bills of materials, it is a separate list. So if you're used to using Sage 50 accounts, you'll know that those bills of materials are buried away. As I said, these bills of materials are unlimited in the number of levels and components that you have. So we've got various views. So if I look at a tree view, quite a nice visual representation of your bills of materials going down through the sub-assemblies. Okay. I can also do that from the bottom up. So if I go for the plywood, maybe I can see that that goes into various sub-assemblies and these sub-assemblies go into various finished items. So it's like an indented where used. Okay. How those bills of materials are made up. We've got header information. All the fields are different to what we would see on in the products, but you can go to the products or the stock record and view that. So it gives you that 360-degree view of your system. We can have instructions, the images, we can have kits, so bill of materials that you can build on dispatch. You can lock bills of materials down so they can't be used outside of the bills of materials. We've got the components. You'll see that there's some color coding. So this is a sub-assembly. I can drill down on that sub-assembly, which is made up of various components. As well as components, we've got operations, and operations can be made up of and can be set up in registers, can be made up of quantities and runtimes. So I can do 600 in an hour. You can have delays, setup times, labor costings, machine costings, tooling costs if you want to, instructions. So maybe I want to tell the operators what they need to do. Okay, could all be set up that or print on paperwork. Documents, we can reference drawings, attachments, which are completely different to the stock items and the batches that we saw before. And all of this culminates in a costing for the bill of material. So if I cost that bill of material, we get a breakdown by materials, labor, setup, machine costs, subcontract, tooling costs, overheads, and a unit cost. All these values are based on 100. I also get my kg CO2 equivalent, so that's our carbon footprint calculator kicking in there. So I've fed in values into my system, fuel bills and all of that, electricity, gas, etc. You can get really granular right down to individual resources if you want. Then the system will then calculate the carbon footprint of manufacturing your products, that you can then offset that with the carbon trust or similar incentives. Okay, what we can also do is we can break that down into individual components, individual operations, so you get a real granular view of those costings for the bill of material, right the way through the bill of material, so right way through all of the sub-assemblies, and a nice graphical representation of that costing. Okay, analysis, custom fields, and audit logs, so you can see what's been happening with that item. Okay, I've just costed it. I've just restored my data, so there is some changes which happened later in the day. There, that's why we're seeing that with this demo data. Okay, so what can I do with a bill of material? I can copy it, I can trial kit. So use one of the really powerful tools that we've added into the latest version, which is trial kitting sales orders. Not a replacement for MRP, but it's a huge step towards it if it's you wanted to maybe phase a project. Okay, so we can see against those two sales orders, we're good to go. We could manufacture those, but if I maybe added further items to that, we may not be in such a good position. If I had shortages, I can raise purchase orders and works orders from here. Okay. We can check for maximum build of an item. What is the maximum that I can make? As it stands at the moment, I can build and reverse build from here, okay, without having a works order. It takes the components out of stock, puts the finished item stock, a bit like the transfer in Stage 50 accounts. If I move on to planning, what I can do is I can read the demand. As I said, these can be from sales orders, reorder levels, make stock works orders, and forecasts. I'm looking 6 months into the future. And the system has found various demands. Some have been excluded, and that could be because we haven't got a due date or they've not been released to production, those sorts of things. So I've got items falling below the reorder level. I've got those sales orders that we were looking at previously and some works order components. I'm happy that these are all today or in the future, which allows me to run the MRP. Both these processes can be automated. So if I run the MRP again for 6 months into the future, I'm going to look at all items. I could be selective if I want to for specific sales orders or specific stock items. So that just runs through and gives me a list of items to manufacture and items to purchase. Okay, it gives me demand dates, order dates, and a receipt date. So this is based on the time that it takes to manufacture for an item that is manufactured. And for items that we purchase, it will be based on the lead time of the supplier. This list is completely amendable as far as changing quantities, changing dates. You'll see that it's taken into account reorder quantities for you, okay, that you've predefined. You'll notice over here that if I sort it by the parent tag, that it groups items together by sales order. Okay, so it's easy to identify why we need to buy or make something. And if I action one of these recommendations, I could amend it before I do it. I can combine multiple recommendations together onto the same purchase order for the same or different items. I'm just going to keep it nice and simple. And you'll see that we now have a purchase order. And if I go into Sage and I drop into purchase orders, Sage didn't have to be open for this to happen. It just happens in the background. Okay, I've just got it open for ease of use. There is my purchase order number 20 for 100 for the 27th of May. On the flip side of that, we might want to raise a works order for an item that we manufacture. Again, I can change quantities, amend dates. You're in control. I now have a works order. So this is just taking out that, you know, what do I need to make? When do I need to make it? Questions really. Okay, but you still remain in control. Ultimately, it's up to you to and those recommendations. So I then have a works order where I can, again, another new feature, which is our quick preview, I can print documentation. There's up to 6 documents that can be printed. I've set it to default to 3 of them. So a label again with the barcode on there. Okay. A picking list for the stores. Okay. So what components do I need? Again, a barcode for our shop floor data capture. So I could come along, scan that barcode. Okay. It will list the components that I need to issue, and then I can issue those items by scanning the barcode on the label that we printed when we received the goods earlier. If you want to see more about the shop floor data capture, there is a webinar on our YouTube channel. The route card, same header information, so works order details, dates, the sales order that we're making it for, so it's easy for the people on the shop floor to identify why we're making this. Okay, drawing details, so they know what drawing to maybe go and reference, the operations, so with the run time, setup times, etc. And again, a barcode to allow the operator to scan on and scan off of the operation, and the system will calculate the lapse time and post that to the works order, so we get actual and accurate costings. So what can I do with a works order? From a stock control point of view, I can trial kit a works order or works orders to make sure that I've got everything that I need. Okay, I can drill down and see, I can see that there's some on order, I can see that there's an outstanding works order. Okay, I can issue or allocate stock, so I'm going to allocate, so that you can skip these stages. I'm going to allocate first of all. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to reserve the stock. This is a works order in the future. I want to reserve that stock. I can unallocate if I want to. I can allocate quantities that I want to allocate. We can also include batch details as well if we want to. So that's now reserved. That stock is allocated. It's fully allocated because we didn't have any shortages. I can then, if I want to issue stock by works order or by stock item, I'm going to do it by works order. Issuing by stock item allows us to issue the same stock item to multiple works orders, but I'm coming at it from the works order point of view. Again, I can issue, can reverse issue. I'm in control. I can decide what I want to issue. It's now recognized that some of these items are traceable, so I can either choose or which batch. I've only got the one, so I'm going to just go in, first out. So working my way through those. If I had multiple batches, then I'd be able to choose the batch that I issued. So that's now issued, and what I get, really useful for the accountants, is a work in progress valuation. So that's been added to work in progress. So there's my work in progress value. Okay, the system does have the capability of posting that to the normal ledger in Sage 50 automatically, or you may choose just to take that figure and carry out the relevant journals manually. So what else can I do with this works order? I can view capacity planning, but I don't want to do that. I'll show you the graphical scheduler. There is a work to list, so we can maybe promote, sort of give certain people access to this. So if I was responsible maybe for the cutting area, I can see the jobs which are coming through that particular area. I can book actual labour times without a barcode if I wanted to, if that was your preferred method, maybe with a timesheet against an employee. Okay, we can do that if you wish. That will post the costs to the works orders. We can process subcontract. So I've got an item that needs to be powder coated. I can raise the purchase orders, send the goods out for issue components. I can dispatch, so raise it, I can dispatch it, and I can receive it back into work in progress. Okay, so you've got full control and traceability of what you've ordered by your subcontractor, what you've sent to the subcontractor, what you've received back from the subcontractor. We can then complete our works order. I'm not going to book it into quarantine. Okay, so I'm going to complete the 100. If I'd not issued enough material, it would tell me how many I could complete at this stage. I'm going to complete that. It's recognized that I haven't booked any labor. This is just a quick tour of the software. It's asking me to enter the batch number because it's not auto-generated for that particular item. I've printed a label because I've told it again to do so. So all about really sort of automating a lot of those tasks that you might have to think about on a daily basis. It knows that this is for sales order number 6, so I'm going to allocate that stock. And the result of that is that if I go back to stock control and I go into our dispatch area, you'll see that it's created a pick list for me. Okay, I can amend that pick list if I needed to. Okay, so it might be that I want to add items, I want to take items off, I might want to change the batches which we use. So it's used the batch that I completed against that works order. So quite slick and easy to use. Okay, I can now dispatch that. Okay, because I and convert it to a picking list. Prior to that, I could print a picking list if I wanted to give to the warehouse. But what this is going to do is it's going to ask me some information about the courier, because we want this to appear on the dispatch note, consignment numbers and the likes. Completely optional. I can then print a delivery note. Picking list would look pretty much identical to this, but it's a picking list top. This can be again laid out how you want it to be laid out. And that's now converted to a delivery note. What we can also do is we can then update that to invoice, but before that, we'd still have the ability to amend that delivery note. So we've put an additional control point in here. If I do then update that to invoice, that will then give me an invoice number. And if I pop across to Sage, again, didn't need to have Sage open for that to happen. We now have an invoice in Sage. This behaves just like a normal Sage invoice, just that we've got some details here of the sales order number and the dispatch note that this item is. Because what we can also do is can combine multiple sales orders onto one delivery note for the same customer. You can combine multiple delivery notes onto the same invoice for the same customer. Okay, so give you a form of consolidated billing. Okay, and cut down on the number of transactions in Sage. So a couple of the other modules I just want to introduce you to. So we do have the quotations module, which allows you to create a bill of, sort of a bill of material on the fly, if you like. Okay, so I've got a mixed wood desk. You can see here that I've configured it with various different items. Okay, so I can quote that. Okay, I can cost it. I can print out a quotation. I can add additional service items. It might be some admin charges or some carriage of that sort of the likes. I've got a full costing, so a bit of like a profit and loss by quotation. I can convert that to an order. I can mark it as lost. I can recost it because the customer comes back to you at a later date. You can also have prospect quotations if you wanted to. Okay, the final one module I'm going to just show you is the graphical scheduler. So if I just bring that up. Okay, so here you are with the graphical scheduler. This is looking at a slightly different data set because I know what's going to appear when I pop into here. But what you can see here is a graphical representation of the works orders running through our system currently, broken down by operation. We've got some color coding here, so it makes it quite obvious that there's going to be an issue. So we can see that this job is at risk because it's due on the 29th, this works order, and it's going to finish on the 29th. So what I can start to do is, if I wanted to, I can start to move those across to the left, and it will overcome that problem. This blue denotes the subcontract. Okay, we've also got some items which are going to be late. So again, I can start to move this across. and overcome some of those problems with the due date. So we can't really do any better than that. So it is going to be at risk. Okay, so we just need to make sure that we finish these as we plan. Okay, and we can see that there's a sales order that could be affected by this. We can also see it by resource. So what I can start to do is I can see that this is we've got a conflict here. I can start to move operations around to overcome those conflicts. Okay, you'll see here that I can't move an operation earlier than an operation that comes before it. Okay, so maybe I need to move this across to the left, and it can see there's a bit of intelligence in there that it's recognized that that's what I was trying to do, and it's overcome that conflict. I can't move a drilling operation into a saw, those sorts of things. So again, we've built some intelligence. Some intelligence can be built into the system to deal with that. And you can see what we're trying to do is trying to get some of these to appear in green with ticks in the boxes to overcome those issues, and that's what we've done. We've still got a job that's late, but what I can start to do is move those across to hopefully overcome those issues. Okay, doesn't look like yeah, we can. So I'm good to go on that. So you can see here we've got a graphical representation of our production. This can all be sent back to Cim50. We've got undo buttons. We've also got a resource view if you wanted to see it in a sort of a utilization. So just quickly move across to there. I've just undone all that hard work that I've done. Okay, we can see in the bottom half of the screen here how we're utilizing our resources, where we're over capacity, where we're underutilizing. Okay, with some color coding. Okay, so that brings us to the end of our overview today.
And it's as you've already alluded to, basically this webinar is a whistle-stop tour of pretty much everything that Cim50 has, and to go into everything in sort of minute detail would not be possible. But as Martin said, look, just drop us a line to hello@ebs.tech or contact your account manager, and we can organise a one-to-one and drill into any sort of details and questions that you might have specifically.
No, you're welcome, Darren.
That's great.
Yeah.
Got a couple of questions. In terms of deployment time, now I know this is a sort of open-ended question, but I mean, what would typically be the sort of timescale that we'd expect from, let's say, placement of order to implementation and go live?
Okay. Yeah, generally we'd sort of say about sort of 4 to 8 weeks, but the average is sort of about 6-week implementation to get the Cim50 up and running. But that also, like you say, it depends on the modules, depends on the complexity of the business and what you want to achieve from the solution. But it's certainly not a drawn out implementation of months and
no, I mean our experience is that, you know, Cim50 certainly is you know, against other applications, is pretty quick to install and get you running. So one other question that is sort of from me actually is, and it's a sort of penny drop moment, I guess. So if I'm not really a manufacturing company, but I have traceability issues, can I just have the stock module?
Yes, you can. Yeah, and we have got customers with exactly that. So it extends the Sage 50 account. So if you're, you know, a distribution company or a business that does some stock control, where you've got a need for traceability and multiple bin locations, then the Cim50 stock control will provide that. And you can just take that module.
That's perfect. There's no others. So again, Martin, really appreciate you helping us deliver this today. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll catch up with you again soon. Goodbye.
You're welcome. Cheers, Darren.